for time. Cool.
You have failed this city.
Winter is coming.
Star-Lord. Finish him. Hadouken! Fatality.
And welcome to episode 50 of the Free Your Geek podcast. I am your host, Jay Free, and to my left, for those watching the video, is my illustrious co-host. You know him as the People's Geek, the Don.
If you smell what the Don is cooking.
So, Don, we're missing somebody today on our 50th episode, an anniversary. We've done 50 shows. Granted, most of those were audio, but we've been doing 50 shows. We've been doing this for a little over a year. And we're missing KB. KB is still sick. So KB, feel better. And that's going to kind of lead into something else real quick that we're talking about. For the month of August, we're going to be taking a small break, a small hiatus. We'll be coming back, we hope, in September sometime. But just I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, and then with KB dealing with his stuff, and Don. Don could run the show himself. Let's be honest here. But we don't want to put that burden on Don. But we'll take the month of August off, kind of like finish summer. We'll be talking about a couple things, most likely, or most specifically, the Defenders, which is going to be coming out this summer. We'll touch a little bit upon that. And I want to start off with the Don. I just want to kind of start off with, we've kind of hit the ground running with Game of Thrones. So potential spoilers right now. But if you can, try to keep it a little spoiler-free.
I could keep it spoiler-free.
What do you think? What's going on so far, in your opinion? Or what do you like? What do you like?
What I love is winter is finally here. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in the sense that it's really cold and snowing there. I mean that the Starks are starting to resurface. You know, we're getting more powerful characters developing within their family. Love how Jon's king in the north now, making the right decisions on making an alliance with Daenerys. Arya, on her mission to kill the queen, decides to turn around, go get back with her family. I thought that was really neat. That was just a super spoiler. Oh no, I'll keep it spoiler free.
Yeah, keep it spoiler free. Well, we've already kind of talked about that. Let's just do this.
Really, Samwell's story is probably what's really interesting me. I like everything that he's getting at the Citadel, which is realistically pretty crazy because you think of Game of Thrones, especially with me, I love the action and all that. But I'm really, really enjoying at this point where I haven't read the books past any of this. I'm on a level, playing field with everybody. So the stuff that I get out of the little hints and little Easter eggs I see within the Citadel, really what grabbed me right now.
That's awesome, and I don't know if you talked about it because I was busy kind of sharing this, but first episode of the season, we have a 5-minute scene. I think it's the greatest scene. I think it's the most without giving too much away. It's the most satisfying scene since certain things happened.
Since Joffrey.
Joffrey. I agree with that. I think to me it was the most rewarding scene, and I was so happy that it finally happened. We won't touch upon it in case you haven't watched it, but I just really like it. I'm curious to see where Daenerys' story goes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where Jon's story goes. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Sansa. Have we seen? For those that have seen season 6, we know she's back at Winterfell. Things are happening. We're not going to get too much.
No, but I don't know, that whole scenario of Jon leaving her in charge just really made me nervous because I know the other players that are in that same area.
Okay, so we're going to go into spoiler territory right now. But do you notice when he announced that her eyes darted off to the side?
Yep.
I don't like that, and I'm hoping she's learned enough and she's smart enough to play the game now, because there were a couple bits where he was going to say something. He goes, I forget how she said it, but to kind of paraphrase, she goes, "You don't have to get the last word in."
But I bet it was something clever.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, that's so good.
Oh,
that's so good. Real quick, I want to talk about Rich Marini, friend of the show, already jumping on. Says if we're not around, that he wants to come hang out and talk nothing but horror. Rich, you can make the Rich Marini horror podcast. And then if Don wants to be a co-host on that, that's totally his bag. But
#boo.
Yeah, there you go. You guys can call yourselves the Boo Brothers. Thanks, Rich.
That's a Super
We love
Mario
you, though.
reference.
We love you. Yeah, you could do a total horror show, but not on For Your Geek. That's geek is everything. Horror is part of geekery, but 4 weeks of that I think might be overkill for this show. But if you want to do your own show, buddy, I mean, go at it, man. Go at it. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff from the big thing we're going to talk about. The big event in San Diego every year now. San Diego Comic-Con's wrapped up. I made a nice little list of everything I want to kind of go over.
You got bullet points?
I do have bullet points, or if I've outlined them, if you will, if I feel like I'm back in school. We're going to break it down. And for Rich, if Rich is still watching right now, we're going to start with horror and sci-fi.
Yes,
We're going to talk about some of the trailers we saw. We're going to talk about some of the news that came out. Then we're going to move on to the superhero genre and focus on television, then kind of focus more on the movie side of it. And then we're going to get out of here. So let's start with the horror sci-fi. First of all, the trailer for season 8 of The Walking Dead dropped. Don, I know you just watched it
Literally
again
just
to
watched.
just catch up with it. What do you think of?
Oh my! I mean, you saw me watching. I was bouncing around like the studio trying to like fight invisible zombies and kill people threatening my survival camp. The trailer for it was just so well done. Like those flash scenes, boom. Like we'll give you a little sentence here and there, but look, this is what's going on, and it's almost always from an angle of somebody watching Rick's group, or the people from the Kingdom or Hilltop, but. I feel like I got so much, like, you know me, I complain about getting too much from a preview. I feel like I got just enough, but, like, I don't know, I'm trying to, like, piece things together in my head. Morgan, oh, man, looks like Morgan's keeping tracks of how many things.
I thought he was going to try to grab me like I'm a son.
It was a fruit fly near you. I
Well,
was trying to be a good friend.
Oh, I appreciate it. You are a good friend. Yeah, I really like it. I think Dwight's going to have an interesting story arc because, again, for those of us that have read the comics, and again, potential spoilers here, we know that Dwight is he's a jerk at first, and then he kind of weeds his way into the group, and he becomes kind of an ally, So I'm curious to see how that story arc. Jeffrey Dean Morgan still killing it as Negan.
Yeah.
We saw from the trailer, it looks like he's talking with Father Gabriel, so we don't know what's going to be happening with that. Eugene is still on Negan's side right now. We don't know what that's going to happen.
Oh, that whole Eugene thing. But again, hopefully it's in Eugene's head. It's not that he's doing like a sprint. Hopefully in his head he's looking at this as it's a marathon. That hopefully he realizes that anything small term or short term that he could do would really not kill the Negan. And I don't mean Negan as an individual like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
We are Negan. Yeah, it's going to be.
I mean, think of Hydra. You cut off one head and two more will arise.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know. I just think that's the one. I mean, I know we have to wait. Like we were talking about Game of Thrones a little earlier. We had to wait a year for this season.
Yeah.
It always feels like it's gonna take forever for October can't get here quick enough because we have a lot of things happening in October. Speaking of Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween coming out on Netflix. Another series that we're really into. Stranger Things season 2. Have you seen that?
I saw the preview, yeah.
That trailer. That's the one I think of all the one on the horror sci-fi list. That's the one I think I'm most amped up for. Just because they're playing, what's the game they were playing right off? Is it Dragon's Lair?
Dragon's Lair,
oh my
God.
I played that game as a child.
And then remember Space Ace came out to be the second part of that? Well, its own.
So,
dude, we're from that era.
Yeah.
Granted, like these kids are probably like 3 or 4 years older than where we would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, like, I didn't expect Stranger Things came out of nowhere for me specifically. I didn't see any trailers ahead of time. What ended up happening is usually when Netflix is gonna release something new, when you open the app, it's the first thing featured. So I'm like, oh, and it was at the point where just the trailer was up. So the whole thing was up. But I played the trailer of it, and I was like, I gotta see this. Dude, how about in the season 2 trailer, we see him walking around in the Ghostbusters suits. Dude, the references to the 80s are on point. The show is genius.
Yeah. Dragon's Lair, and they have the homemade trap, a ghost trap, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like I love the camera angle that's coming up from the ghost trap in that. It was just a really cool shot. Really cool, like all the kids are looking into it, but it's just interesting to take what happened in season 1. And now, what's his name? Will? Is it Will? Will's back, and he's still his consciousness keeps going back and forth to the upside down,
Yep.
or is he actually being transported? And he just happens to be.
I think, unfortunately, when something, or like say a human goes from the upside down back to our world, it almost leaves the doorway open enough for them to just keep coming through. And even that's not what it is probably, but that's just the way I look at things. You know what I mean? Like, damn these.
Yeah. We get some fruit flies apparently.
Need a maintenance man over here.
Yeah. Well, we got to get on that. I mean, we work for peanuts, so
Yeah.
apparently we're leaving the shells on the ground.
So
and
you
the
know
fruit
what we
flies.
gotta do? We gotta get an elephant in here to clean, so we can take
There you
those
go.
peanuts that we get and just boom,
And
send them
then
his way.
they never forget, so it'd be able to remind us of everything we're missing.
Always.
There you go.
Boom.
Perfect. Yeah. So Stranger Things, I'm really excited for it. That's coming out in October as well. And how about the music for the trailer? The Thriller.
Dude,
Like,
oh my
dude,
God.
everything felt so perfect. Again, that whole touch of 80s and that feeling, that nostalgia of us like being kids in that time too. It's just from the Ghostbusters, like we said, to Dragon's Lair, to Thriller as the theme song. And, they kind of gave a little tease for 11.
Yes.
so-
right. Her walking through the upside down in the end.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the trailer.
Yeah. So she's going to be returning, so we can assume. Still no sign of Barbara, unfortunately. She was the friend that
Yeah.
I think Barbara's gone.
I thought they discovered. Well, I thought it showed that she had died in the upside down already.
Beth is saying he's kind of like Kevin from The Last of Us.
From the leftovers.
Oh, The Leftovers. Okay, she corrected herself. I was
Yep.
going to say The Last of Us.
No,
Okay.
I know what she's talking about.
See, this is why you guys are on point right there.
Who were we just talking about when she said that? He's kind
Will?
Like,
We were talking about Will. Unless
yes, babe. Yes, my wife knows her stuff. Yes, because in the leftovers, Kevin can go back and forth through this like death world or whatever. You know what I mean? I could.
this is why we love her.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
She's good.
She's on point with her references. Okay, we're talking Halloween.
Could I just?
go.
This is not on the paper, but you and I really just touched on it. I'm a big American Horror Story fan. I know the show goes up and down, but I mean the actors that they have on that show. Like I love how they kept it consistent with keeping certain people. I think Sarah Paulson is amazing. She's a great actress. She's like the lead this year. I don't know what like the basis of it's gonna be, if it's gonna be the ghost ship or not. But I love how it's always something different, but it incorporates as much of the horror genre as you can. I mean, like season 2, back to season 2, we had aliens, demons,
Right.
and we had like mutants. Like it will throw everything at you. I think the show's very well done. I don't even care that they threw Lady Gaga on it. I think Lady Gaga actually did pretty good when she played.
I think she did fantastic. I mean, I've only seen a couple episodes. I'm by no means a dedicated fan to that, but I am very interested in that.
So and then one more. I mean, then from there we were kind of just.
We're just going to talk,
Movies.
So back to the movies, horror, sci-fi. Again, Halloween. What was kind of the standard for movies around Halloween around that, a few years ago, were the Saw movies, and now we have a new trailer for Jigsaw. And I'm curious. I gave up after the third movie, the third Saw. I was kind of done. So I don't know how they're going to bring him back, or if it's going to be a copycat killer.
Well,
there's always going to be twists.
I mean, Rich and I will probably like go back and forth over this, but I don't think it is actually gonna be like a copycat killer. Like the way Jigsaw is just so like pinpoint with everything. He's like a chess player. You know what I mean? He's already seen his victory. Like say at the beginning of this, he knew what the end game was, and he knew even after he died, and then his next in charge died, and so on. And he could see things getting corrupted by the cop that wanted to learn from him. So, I don't know. I think it's realistically, I think it's Jigsaw all the way to the end.
I don't know, but because they do say in the trailer, the name, the voice, and it sounds like him. It sounds like Jigsaw. So I'm curious to see how they're going to be able to do that and how they're going to be able to bring that in. But
another thing I like about specifically the Jigsaw thing, this is probably one of the first ones where it's like, oh, it's been this many years since the Jigsaw. Really, when you watch the other movies, you don't really have a concept of time. Like the fact that you only watch 1, 2, and 3. When you start getting into 4 takes place at the same time as 2, 5 takes place at the same time as 3, 6 takes place at the same time as all of them. You know what I mean? Like it's a monstrous game. So when
It's all happening at the same time. Yeah.
all within a day or hours from each other, you know? And then this, they're like, it's been 8 years since, you know, John, whatever his name is, died, the Jigsaw Killer. And so, and then even in the preview, they're like, oh, was it, what do you think, it's a copycat? And then they like, listen to the tape.
Yep.
And it's, you want to play a game? But,
I'm super into that. And we'll talk about the next piece in a second, but you just saw the trailer for Westworld.
Oh,
go into that, man.
So yeah, any of us who watch Westworld should be pumped. So I just finished watching the trailer for it, and a few key things that stood out to me, like being the fan that I am, is it goes. Oh my God, Mauve. You didn't watch it? Damn,
I know.
Maybe it's here. Her name is. It's the main lady from the burlesque house. It shows her and the man who was in charge of running the stories for the characters, actually creating their story arcs. It shows them in the facility, not out in like the the old west type stuff, but it shows them out in the facility, and there are just tons of dead bodies. And by the look on her face, you can tell that she had nothing to do with this. So there's something else in the works that these I call them robots, like these
androids,
I'm going to call them AI. Like these AIs probably didn't have anything to do with this, or the ones who did are actually malfunctioning on their own, or it could have been part of Bernard's plan. I call him Bernard, but God, I can't even. It's been that long. I was so obsessed with the show, and I can't come up with names off the top of my head right now. But anyway, the preview looked good. Showed a few little action scenes, but again, like for some reason, what's like really appealing to me is not like the action right now. Like I usually complain when episodes are filler episodes to just hit you with information, but with a lot of these shows right now, like I want you to hit me with enough information so then like other things like big setups will make sense and I'll appreciate them more further down, you know what I mean, the road of the show. But it was that you saw. I mean, it wasn't as impressive as the Walking Dead season 8 trailer, but I know what is behind all of that.
But if you're into those characters, if you're into that world, it's still gonna suck you in.
Yeah, just seeing those characters, like me, I was like, oh, look, it's Bernard. You know what I mean? Like I got fired up about it, so it was pretty cool.
Excellent. And then real quick, I just want to talk about it came out. Spawn.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane is set to, I believe, write and direct. I think that was the news coming out. A new Spawn movie. I was a big fan of Spawn.
Did Burton do the first one? Who did the first one?
I can look that up.
Okay.
But why don't we? While I'm looking that up, what are your thoughts on Todd McFarlane, the creator of
being able to be fully involved in it? I think finally we're gonna get like an aggressively dark, gritty Spawn. Oh, that's another one I want to see. I want to see the Dark Tower. That looks really good. But back to Spawn, I think it's going to be very, very grown up. I think that Spawn right there, like the other Spawn that came out, I was a fan of. I thought it was really good. But it focused too much on, what his suit could do. And I don't know.
You thought it was less about the characterization and more about like the tricks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the movie was directed by Mark A.Z. DePay.
Oh,
I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. It's got a little accent over the E. I don't believe it's Dippy. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm always excited when the creator is not only going to write it, which Todd McFarlane I believe did have some writing credits on the original Spawn movie that came out in '97.
Yeah,
but
they probably chopped it on
But the fact that he's going to write and direct, it's his baby, it's his vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that'll be kind of cool. All right, that kind of wraps up movies. Any other movies that you or at least for the horror sci-fi before we talk about the superhero side of things?
I really can't think of any they're not. September. That's really what I'm really fired up as far as anything on here. Granted, we kind of focused on TV shows of the horror and sci-fi genre.
Yep.
But it is the epitome of horror. Is for me specifically growing up. I remember having the dual cassette It box. And not knowing what it was, you know what I mean? Like my Meme and Pepe had like, like they didn't have like all their cassettes neatly organized. They had a box, like, go get it out of the tape box, they tell me. And I would go buy this movie so many times, and then finally one time I just put the first disc in, and I was like, oh my God, it's so-and-so from Sequest, and he's a little kid. Oh, it's Bastion from Neverending Story, and he's, and then I was mortified. Once you get to the first of that end, the end of the first cassette, and they're trapped in the sewer with him, and he's still in clown form, that's crazy.
That's another one. Like again, I wasn't sure if I want to include that because I don't know. I don't know if it was at San Diego Comic-Con because I didn't see that on my roundup. But yep. let's. This is something. If we're going to be gone for a month, we're not coming back till September. Something we should make everybody aware of. That's watching and listening to the podcast right now. But yeah, another great movie that I'm pumped to see. Dark Tower. You want to talk anything about that?
Or Dark Tower just looks really, really good. Again, same thing. Stephen King.
Yep.
So I mean. Wow, he's gonna be making some bank.
Yeah,
August
well,
and September.
And we talked about this. Well, not Stephen King, it was Steven Spielberg. Talked about that. He thought the superhero bubble, the comic book bubble, was eventually going to burst, and all the movies were going to kind of go the way of the Western. And I mean, and the reason I say this is what we call in the business a segue.
Yeah.
Because we're going to segue into superhero TV shows right now, and I might be tempted to agree with Mr. Spielberg because we have a boatload of new TV shows coming out. So I'm going to run through these real quick. I know you don't really follow the CW stuff, but The Flash is coming back. Basically, again, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen season 3, Barry sacrificed himself into the Speed Force at the end of season 3 because he created Flashpoint, had to remedy that. Then Speed Force needed somebody to take for that. He ended up sacrificing himself, leaving his fiance behind. We're going to be fast forwarding a couple of months and see how Iris has moved on. Kid Flash is now going to be taking over as the hero. So we'll see what's going to be happening with that. I'm very excited to see that. Arrow has been great this season. Prometheus has been the greatest villain. Essentially kidnapped all of his family and allies, stranded them on the island, found Oliver's son, and basically said, I'm strapped to a dead man switch. I've set the island up with explosives. You have to make a decision. Either save your son or save your friends and family on the island. And just when you think Oliver outsmarted him, shot him in the leg, grabbed his son, Prometheus takes out a gun, kills himself right in front. The island blows up. We don't know what happened to all the people. Did they survive?
Oh.
The trailer came out. We do know some survived, but it's still going to be a great series. Legends of Tomorrow. I love time traveling stories. The end of season 2.
I love the cast of this show, but I will not watch this show.
I love it. I love it.
I know, you put these shows, dude, when you were just talking about Flash and Arrow, and I'm sure when you talk about this, it's going to resonate in me oh, you should probably watch this. And then I remember it's on CW.
They do have some CW-ness, it's a lot of relationships and stuff, and they need to do the drama, and I get that. But just the fact that we to me, Flash actually feels like a comic book come to life. They don't focus on the relationship stuff too much, but the humor's great. Anyway, Legends of Tomorrow, though, we had the whole crew essentially stop Reverse Flash from rewriting history and putting a new reality in place. Come to find out, from meeting their own doppelgangers from an earlier point in time, they kind of effed up the timeline. They crashed in what appears to be Los Angeles, and there's Big Ben in the background. There's dinosaurs running around. They broke time. They're going to fix it, and they're going to try to get back. We're going to be introducing some new characters. It's going to be great. I don't know who the original name of the character in the comics was. Isis. They can't use that anymore, obviously. I don't know what her new name's going to be, so if anybody's on Facebook Live and wants to shout that out, I'd appreciate
call her
that.
Cece.
Yeah, I have no clue. I forget, but it's going to be very interesting, and it's also tying to the CW. For all the flack that you give it is kind of smart too, because they have an app called the CW Seed. It's in its own streaming app, and they've created a Vixen cartoon to kind of correlate with the character. And I guess characters from the cartoon are now going to appear in live action. And the storyline, it's going to be continuity. The storyline that happened in the cartoon is going to carry forward to the show.
That's really smart.
Which is kind of cool.
I mean, I can't lie. I can't stand that CW stuff. If I'm telling you, if these were done the way, say, Marvel shows that were done on Netflix, I feel like I'd be sitting here being like, oh my God, did you see Flash last night? Like, I mean, did you like
Right.
go through Flash already?
Right.
Like,
Right.
but then again, like I have to go back to the own point of like sometimes I have to force myself to do something. I didn't want to watch Daredevil when everyone was saying how great Daredevil was, and then I was bored one day, popped Daredevil on, and I watched the whole thing probably 3 or 4 days.
See, that's awesome. And along those same lines, if you don't want to use the CW app or the CW Seed to stream, they're all on Netflix, and they have a deal with Netflix now, which I think is really cool. I believe it's 1 to 2 weeks after the series finale in May, the entire series is released on Netflix, so you can binge watch it throughout the summer if you want to. It's really smart. And then we're gonna real quick talk about Supergirl. Supergirl, end of last season, basically, and you would like this. I think as much as they do focus, this one does focus a lot more on relationships.
Yeah.
But well, not more than any other. But she's in a relationship with this character Mon-El, who is from. Oh my God, what's the futuristic? Not the Justice League. I can't think of the name. The futuristic Justice League, who I can't remember now. I can't remember. No. It's. Oh my God, I can't. I'm having the biggest brain fart. But one of the people in the Facebook Live, feel free to jump in. But basically, she falls in love with Mon-El, this other character who's from a sister planet of Krypton, who was kind of like a Superman story. He was shipped off to, yada yada yada. But then his mother and father, played by Terry Hatcher and Kevin Sorbo, so Lois Lane from Lois and Clark, and Hercules. Dean Cain plays her adoptive father on Earth. And now they're bringing in Erica Durance, who played Lois Lane on the Smallville series, is going to be playing her mother in this season. So
I tip my hat.
They do a lot of, and the original Supergirl, the Supergirl movie, I believe, is her mother in this series. There's a lot of cool Easter eggs there, kind of like on the Flash. Not to go back to the Flash, but they use a character called the Trickster. He's on a different Earth, and he's played by Mark Hamill, who played the Trickster in the 90s version of The Flash, with John Wesley Shipp, who played the Flash in the 90s series as Jay Garrick in the other world. He's the Flash of that world, Jay Garrick, and he played Barry Allen in the 90s TV. So I love those like little nods to things that came before it. But anyway, Supergirl, basically what she had to do is she had to release this. She had to offset this bomb in National City, which caused anyone with Daxamite blood to be immediately poisoned. So her love of her life had to leave Earth, and he got taken by the Legion. That's what it is. It's the Legion. I can't think of. I'll have to look it up while we're talking about something else. The ones with the rings that can time travel. I can't think of the damn name. It's from the comic books. But John Levine, I'm going to punch you in the head. I love you, cuz, but I'm going to punch you in the head. Yeah, he's a big supporter of the show. I love you. I love your wife. I love your son, my godson. Shout out to Will. Hey, Will. I'm Uncle Godfather Jeff, or Uncle Godfather Jay Free.
What can I do for you on the day of the Free Your Geek podcast?
I'm going to make you an offer, sir.
That you can't refuse.
Now we're going to get into some new territory, man.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Black Lightning. Black Lightning is another CW specific. It's going to be set in a different universe. So it's not going to interact with the other shows as of yet. It's going to have more of a realistic. When I watched the trailer, it kind of reminded me of Luke Cage on Netflix. So you have this African American that used to be a hero, and his daughter and him are basically going to be like this, hero and sidekick. It looks like. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into that. But then we also have another show coming to the Sci-Fi Network called Krypton.
I've seen the preview for this.
And what do you think of?
See, now look, Sci-Fi is not much of a better channel than CW, but I have a feeling that the show's going to do good. Or it's going to do good to people who like Gotham. Like, I thought Gotham was going to be like the next best thing. I got through the first half of season 1, and it just didn't do it for me. But I know people who swear by Gotham. Like, Gotham is incredible. I can't believe you love superheroes and you don't like watching Gotham and da-da-da-da-da. So when I saw the preview for Krypton, I'm like, oh, that's going to be really good, or it's not going to be good at all.
So Krypton, I'm not sold on Krypton yet. I'm not sold on it just because it's like it's going to be Superman's or Kal-El's grandfather trying to bring honor back to the House of El. So it's going to be almost like I think it's going to suffer from the same thing as Gotham, where it's like, okay, it's Gotham, it's supposed to be a police drama, but now you're introducing all these villains, and it's like there's no Batman to fight these villains. You're worrying about
and on
Jim
top
Gordon.
Of it, they don't have their powers on Krypton.
Right.
So we're gonna get a show
with Kryptonians that can't fly, aren't invulnerable, don't have super strength, can't use heat vision or their frost breath, or fly. Yeah.
So we're gonna get like a police drama on Krypton. Like
I don't know.
or like
I don't
a
know.
A Game of Thrones on Krypton.
That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
to House L.
Right. Exactly. I don't know how that's going to play out. But speaking of, we touched upon it a little bit. I want to talk about Gotham because I know you said you went through the first season or half the first season.
Right to that halfway point.
Let's. I'm going to take a time out before I get into Gotham. I want to say like what kind of let you down or what kind of turned you off to the series?
Oh, it's the easiest thing in the world for me to answer. When a show's brand new like Gotham, there is no need whatsoever for you to take a month off at the halfway part of the show, because the second that I wasn't watching it every week and I then tried to watch it a week later or whatever, the show had already lost its appeal to me really, really, really quick. I'm not hating. I love Batman.
No. This is my favorite shirt. I just wanted to point this out. I wore this specifically for our 50th episode.
Yeah.
Before we take a month break. So I like how you say, oh, yeah, I hated Gotham because they take a month off just when they're getting rolling. We're taking a month off for the month of August.
But you've been on 50 straight, 50
that's
episodes.
true. That's true.
So you've already passed your 1 year mark.
Yeah, that's very true.
So,
very true.
But what I mean is, like, that's what did it for me. And, dude, I liked Jim Gordon. I liked that whole little story. Like, I'm not going to lie, like, the whole Alfred and, like, Bruce Wayne is probably the least interesting part of the show. For where I go,
right. For when you,
but I know Alfred's gonna teach him how to fight, and him and the what the hell's her name, Selena, like hang out more, or whatever. She was actually the most interesting character to me.
All right, let me give you a quick recap. So I'm gonna spoil it for you.
No, you can.
But the end of season, this is 3, I believe.
Yeah.
We saw Bruce Wayne finally start fighting street thugs with just a regular, just like a pullover ski mask type of thing. He's like a 16-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid.
And he's pulling like the Daredevil mask.
Yeah.
Like how Daredevil started.
Pretty much. We were introduced to Ra's al Ghul. He ended up, they basically had Bruce be part of the Court of Owls, get brainwashed, and he ended up stabbing Alfred.
Yep.
Almost killing him. Alfred got put into used some of the waters from the Lazarus Pit, went to the hospital, basically decided to, double down on Bruce's training and whatnot. So Bruce is ready to go. We saw Selena Kyle taking her first steps to becoming Catwoman as she goes and she meets up with, oh my God, what's her name? Tabitha, who is played by one of my favorite actresses in the world. I love her to death, Jessica Lucas. Beautiful, beautiful girl. Plays Tabitha. Tabitha's known for using a whip. Selena shows up. She's like, hey, give it a whirl. Perks up the whip the first time. Awesome. Super awesome. We saw the Riddler and Penguin finally come to a head where they take a different stance on the Penguin. A lot of people didn't like it.
No, that kid's actually pretty good.
Well, no, but they turned him. They turned Penguin. They didn't turn him, but he basically his sexual orientation is homosexual.
He's gay now?
He's gay, and he had a crush on the Riddler. And when Nigma rebuffed him and fell in love with this other girl, Penguin had her killed.
And just from it's funny because Nigma seems like he would be the gay one. You know what I mean?
He's Corey
he's
Michael
just
Smith
like
he gives off a more of a
softer, feminine vibe. Yeah.
But the way both of those characters are, Penguin is amazing. We saw a lot more freaks come out. We've seen Jerome, who most think is going to be the
Joker,
birth of the Joker. Amazing character.
Mr.
Freeze. Poison Ivy. They did a whole thing with her with people with powers.
The grow up thing.
Yep.
She was a kid. Now
she was a kid. They basically somebody with powers was able. Basically, they can age somebody really fast. If it's think of like Rogue from the X-Men.
Yeah.
Basically, except it's aging. Instead of sapping their life force, you age them until they die. They grabbed her for a quick second, and she grew up like 12 years.
Wow. It's still statutory rape, guys.
It's still she's still. But I like the way that the actress Maggie Gyllenhaal, another beautiful woman, plays that character because she plays it with the mentality of a 12-year-old.
13 going on 30. Jennifer Gardner.
Well, there you go. But it was a really cool. They focused a lot more on the villains. They focused a lot more on like, okay, Bruce is on his way to becoming Batman, so they're working it. But the trailer, we're going to be reintroduced. We only had him, I think, for 1 or 2 episodes on either season 1 or 2. The Scarecrow is coming back, and
I didn't even get
going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So, Gotham, it kind of won me back over. I was in your boat. I was like, oh, this is, and even John Viveris on Facebook Live said he gave up halfway through season 2. it's gotten pretty good. I mean, I don't want to give everything away, but it's if you like the villains, it reminds me a little bit more of a not an over the top style, but it takes itself less seriously now and more like think of less of Tim Burton Batman, more of like Tim Burton Batman with shades of Batman Forever, almost like a little bit like over the top as far as the villains go. But I love it. I love it. It's so quirky. But let's.
I mean, realistically, it's a Fox show, so automatically that's like 5 steps ahead of Flash, Arrow,
Right.
and to
Well,
me, in my book, because it's
in your
darker and
book.
grittier. Only
Right.
in my book,
Well-
those shows seem very like light and like they always want to like leave you happy.
I'll say this: Flashes,
Yeah.
Arrow is super
No,
dark.
see, Arrow's the one I should give a shot. Like I'll
If
probably
you like
check
that
out.
grittiness, and then you'd have to probably get into like the crossovers because they do like alien crossovers and all kind of like. So it's
Yeah.
like a 4-part series. But hey, off air, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. I'll get you a list of things you need to watch. Let's shift over to the Marvel side. We saw the trailer for Inhumans.
You did. I
Okay,
did.
you haven't.
I still haven't.
I'm gonna reserve judgment until I want to get a couple episodes in. Honestly, was not blown away by the
No.
trailer. Just because I was never an Inhumans guy myself, so I can't really speak to it. I never read the comics. I mean, some of the Lockjaw looks awesome though, in my opinion. I know a lot of the feedback online was that the special effects looked like crap and whatnot. But you know what? It's cool. They're gonna put it in IMAX the first.
That's gonna be.
It's
Crazy.
going to be like a movie type of event before the series starts, and it's whether it's a 2 or 3 part episode series, and they put it on IMAX to introduce. I think it's great, and I can't think of the character he's playing, but Ramsey Bolton is going to be one of the Inhumans. So I'm going to have to check it out just for
He's
him.
a really good actor.
Yeah.
Like besides the fact that he made us hate him in Game of Thrones, he was also in another show, Residue, with Asha from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
So
Well, and then just go back to that Game of Thrones. I have a friend of mine, another supporter of the show, Erin Ferreira Sullivan, who basically has watched seasons 1 through 3. She binged it. She got it on a thumb drive. Somebody downloaded the episodes. She's going to do 4 through 6 now, so she's trying to avoid spoilers. But she's always, we work together, and she's always sending me text messages or G-chats, and she's always like, what's going to happen with this? This guy's such a jerk. The Red Wedding absolutely gutted her, and I was like I was biting my lips so much. She's like, "Oh, Rob and his wife, I'm so happy. They look so happy together." And I'm just like, "Well, hold on to that
He's like-
happiness."
Jeff's like calls her up and he's like, "The Lannisters send their regards."
I can't wait till I'm gonna say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the Apple store. You know why?" And she's gonna say, "Why?" I'm gonna say, "For the watch." And then I think I used that joke last time we were doing Game of Thrones 4 through 6, but. Erin, actually, now, if you're watching this now and you didn't hear the spoilers that we talked about before, go back and watch episodes 1 through 3 recap because now you're all caught up and you don't have to worry about it. And then you can go back and watch 4 through 6 once you're done with that. But Inhumans looks interesting. The one I'm really into. I want to talk about some of the other stuff. I didn't talk about Preacher. I haven't watched. I couldn't
I've
get through
watched
that.
one episode. It's good, but I haven't gotten.
Legion. I got to catch up on Legion.
I still haven't watched one. But we hear it from KB.
Right, KB loves Legion, but I want to talk about Gifted. The
Gifted
Gifted.
looks awesome.
It looks amazing. Amy Acker is in it, who plays the mother. She's been in a couple of shows that I love. I love her as an actress. You got there's going to be, I believe it's Polaris is one of the characters. I don't know. And then it's basically going to revolve around, I believe, a brother and sister who are mutants.
Yeah.
And the sister is played by the actress that played in Gotham, Silver St. Cloud. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
off air too. But she's awesome. She's actually a talented young lady. So I'm really curious to see how. And John Veras agrees. He says Gifted looks
Yes,
dope,
it
and
does.
put a fire symbol. Looks fire. Yeah, blazing. I don't know. Okay. So Gifted looks amazing, and then the big one that's on Netflix that again, since we're going to be gone for the month of August, I kind of want to talk about it because it is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. I want to talk about The Defenders. Have you seen the trailer for this?
I have.
What are your thoughts?
I'm fired up. Oh my god. Again, like even out of all the series that I've gotten out of Netflix, Jessica Jones is really good, but Daredevil is the best. I liked it better than Iron Fist. I told you the same thing with Luke Cage. The only one that was really, really close was the Jessica Jones series. Seeing all 4 of them on screen together, awesome. You know what I mean? We get bits and pieces of two of the characters interacting, or them all interacting with the same character, like Rosario Dawson's character, whatever. Claire. So like they've all interacted with her, but we finally get to tie in together, and it's not really spoiler because it's a preview, but Elektra at the end of that.
Yep. Yep.
Bro, I was just like, whoa.
Yep.
Like I got all.
Madame Gao,
Yep.
Electra, and Sigourney Weaver. Like she's
What,
amazing
where'd that
actress.
come out of?
Yeah, like how do you get? And not that I want to like short sell these Netflix series, but Sigourney effing Weaver.
I know you get the Alien Queen.
Oh my god! And she's playing what we can assume is the villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's a spoiler, but I mean, we've had good actors like Vincent D'Onofrio.
He's amazing.
A couple really good actors, and Charlie Cox, John Bernthal, like as the Punisher. Like we've had.
Yeah, that
Go-
was.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. All
I'm
I
just saying the
wanted to
quality of actors.
Yeah, I
that
was
they-
just gonna give you a thumbs up on that. The second that you said the Punisher,
Yeah, I mean, but they're all good. But they're all and not aside from Vincent D'Onofrio. And correct me if I'm wrong. Trinity.
Carrie Moss
Yeah, like I think up until Sigourney Weaver, I think she was probably the biggest A-lister or actor to appear.
on that show.
Yeah.
Hands down, guaranteed.
This girl was in the Matrix. Trinity from the Matrix is
The closest person to her is Rosaria.
Rosario Dawson.
Those are yeah.
And again, they're and Vincent D'Onofrio. They've been in movies. They've been in like some blockbusters, good movies, well
But
written
they haven't
movies.
been leads.
But it's Sigourney effing Weaver. Like I'm
That would
blown
be
away.
like getting what's her name? Who's the original Scream Queen? Jamie
Lee Curtis.
That would be like getting Jamie Lee Curtis to be on a Netflix show. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
I want to just give you a quick shout out before we keep talking about this. John Viveris, for those listening to the audio podcast or those not reading the comments right now on Facebook Live, John says he strongly recommends the current Defenders comic book run that's out right now. He says it feels very Netflix-ish. So I might have to pick that up and either
like
pick up
that.
the trade or get it digitally just because I want to be prepared for that. I'm going to be out of the country middle of August, and I'm going to have a long plane ride, so I'm going to need some reading material. So thank you, John. Appreciate that. But yeah, the Defenders. Just the cool thing for me is seeing Iron Fist and Luke Cage together as the heroes for hire, almost like.
Yeah.
Because that's I was never a big fan of them. Like I didn't collect the Heroes for Hire comics,
just
but I
thought it
remember
was cool.
reading them when I was younger, and I'm like, okay, cool. These two guys are buddies, and just to see them interact, and then Jessica Jones just being so like dry and just like miserable all the time. Like I can't wait to see. I want to see her in Iron Fist because Finn Jones plays Danny Rand as this very innocent, like kind of naive because he's been in the mountains, for his whole adult life, and he's only recently come back to society. So I just want to see her like cynicism? Is that the word I want?
her
Where he's
cynicism?
cynical.
How cynical she can be.
Yeah, how cynical with his just like naivety and just like I want to see them together, and Luke Cage, and then that's the other thing too. It's not that you want to focus on relationships, but we have all these other particular characters, these supporting characters. Foggy Nelson,
Jessica Jones' sister.
there's going to be Karen, Foggy. Oh my God, what's her name?
The Ann Wolf girl. Whatever
Yeah.
her real name is.
Yeah, I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Karen.
Yeah, there's Karen, there's Foggy. We're gonna see who's Carrie Ann Moss play. What's her name? Judith Hogarth. There's gonna be so many different characters, but
Oh,
Claire
yeah.
had romantic feelings at one time for Daredevil. She kind of is having something going on with Luke Cage. We have Luke Cage and Jessica Jones who have been intimate. And then we have Colleen Wing and Iron Fist. And in the comic books, I believe, and then we have Misty Knight, who I believe is going to be in it. And Misty Knight and Iron Fist get into a relationship in the comics. So I'm wondering how that's going to
A lot
play.
of spit swapping.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But again, I think it's going to be action packed. And then they had a little Punisher teaser at San Diego Comic-Con too. Just a quick, and I'll show it to you off air. But they had one with Stan Lee doing the narrating. Did you see that?
No.
I'll play that for you when we go off air too. But I'm just very, very excited for that. So again, make sure that's dropping in August. That's going to be the next big thing, in this summer. But let's very quickly before we get out of here talk about the superhero movie trailers. We got two big ones. Which one do you want to start with first?
I mean, Justice League we've had for a little bit.
Yeah.
But again,
We've seen more though.
yes,
this is a newer
we've
one.
been getting more and more. But I guess realistically, what I'm like really fired up to see about this is like Cyborg.
Cyborg's
If
gonna
they're
be
gonna
cool.
do it, if they're gonna do it right. Dude, Khal Drogo, Aquaman. Dude,
Badass.
they made it look
Badass.
so awesome. And it's Aquaman.
Ezra Miller, who's playing the Flash, he's going to be like kind of more the lighthearted one, which I
Yeah.
think is. So you saw that with Jim Gordon, and he like typical like trope, like he shuts off the bat signal, whatever. He turns around,
Yeah.
and everybody's gone except the Flash. He's like, "Oh, they all disappeared on you, huh? That's immature." And then he just like flashes out of there. I just think that's cool.
That's awesome.
There's a couple of cool little nods. They said in a world without Kryptonians, a world without lanterns. They alluded to that a little bit, so
Yeah.
we might be seeing. There's rumors that we might be seeing a Green Lantern cameo, and then Alfred is talking to somebody at the end of it, saying, you said you'd be here, better late than never," or something along those lines. Again, I'm paraphrasing. So could it be a Green Lantern? Could it be a Superman?
I would love for it to be Green Lantern. I don't even care how bad they butchered that Ryan Reynolds movie. Green Lantern is awesome. That ring is awesome. What you can bring to screen, what you can bring to a team with the Green Lantern on it, that just allows DC to to literally hit us with every one of your super mega villains that you have, because now we get the team. I mean, like, if they do this right, like, I mean, they could at least make one, Justice League Unlimited movie. Not like a whole series out of it, but imagine like, like what we're getting now with Marvel. Marvel, look, we're not just on Earth anymore. We're not focusing on that. We've brought you Guardians of the Galaxy. We've brought you Thor. We're like, now we're just going to keep bringing you out further, I respect that. I think DC could do that too, but I mean,
I think so. I think they're going the opposite direction. They're doing the big movie first, and then they're going to try to do like maybe some little individual movies. But the thing I want to talk about before we talk about the next movie is there was also some rumors going around about Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel movie coming out with Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Is it Carol Danvers? I think it is. I can't remember now. I can't remember her last name, but there's rumors going around that it's going to have ties to the Ant-Man movie, and we're going to see Hank Pym and his wife in that micro pocket universe, and that's going to have. I'm just curious to see. I mean, I haven't read too much on it, but I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But I very quickly want to just talk about the other big, and I think it's your and I favorite takeaway from. I read a list. They basically listed the top 50 trailers coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Justice League was number 1.
Oh,
this one that we're going to talk about was number 2, but to me it's my number 1 just because I am so amped for this movie. We're going to be talking obviously Thor Ragnarok.
Amazing.
I don't even know. I mean, those are the only words I can really describe. I love the trailer. I love the back and forth with him and Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And Hulk is talking more now.
Dude, that was awesome. That was so awesome. What? You know what? I even thought like the trailer was well put together. Like it starts off, like you hear him talking like, "You're not gonna believe this. Since the last time I saw you," and he's like, "I lost my hammer. That was fresh. That just happened yesterday." And
Chris Hemsworth is great with that. That just kind of like I don't even know what type of humor that is, but that humor is like absolutely amazing. But he's just like so like blasé about it, like, and then or like misdirecting, like. He's like, and he's talking to actual Bruce Banner, not the Hulk, and he's like, and we fought, and Bruce Banner's like, did I win? And then it shows the scene of like Thor going at the Hulk, and Hulk pushes him and hits him into a wall, and Thor's like, no, I won, and then he's like, well, that doesn't seem
right. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like me.
Well, it did. Yeah. It was just so good.
Oh,
I love that. I love the fact that it almost feels like they took like some cues from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie to put that type of humor like a Groot or a Drax into that, with the back and forth, with the interaction between Thor and the Incredible Hulk. I think it's going to be a fantastic movie.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'm curious, Joe Amaral from the Whatever Bro podcast. Shout out to the Whatever Bro podcast. He was on a few weeks ago when we were talking.
Last week? What he said?
I saw a few weeks ago. Yeah. Did you see it?
I saw the trailer that he was talking about, and dude, everybody is in it. Like literally everybody is in that trailer, and it is true. Like when it starts off, like what he was saying, it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy flying, then all of a sudden, Thor lands on the window, and Rocket's like, "Oh, wash him off, get him off there, get out of here."
It's a bug, yeah,
it's a bug, yeah. But oh my God. I can't think of who the Collector's brother is, but the Collector's brother's in it.
I don't know.
Anyway, he's one of the Supremes or whatever. I can't even think of what they're called right now. But
I feel like we're in the home stretch right now
who's
of
Jeff
like
Goldblum play?
I'm
pretty sure it's the Collector's brother. Benicio del Toro's brother in it.
We'll have to check that out. I'll look that up right now. But what else? I don't know. I just think, and then so were the rumors true? As far as like you said, all the other, I guess Chris Evans, Captain America, is all fully bearded up and
Old-
looks
yeah.
super like badass or whatever.
He's got the salt and pepper beard. It shows Tony Stark talking with the Guardians of the Galaxy on their ship.
Jeff
It
Goldblum
shows-
is playing the Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster. All right. So he's the one. So that is the Collector, though. He's the one who plays the games with the Earth's heroes. All right.
Oof.
Damn. What did you just ask me? I feel like I was on.
I was asking about Chris Evans with the beard.
Oh, so we got. So yep. It shows the older version of them. It shows blonde-haired Romanoff. It shows what's his name? Winter Soldier's out of the hatch.
Okay.
It shows Black Panther just. I can't remember. I think it shows Black Panther opening the hatch to bring him out, and then it just goes like into another scene with like I want to almost say that the freaking Winter Soldier's using a bow and arrow.
Oh, that's cool.
But that dude, it looks so good. And then like you watch it and it's like, what am I gonna do when all this Marvel stuff's over?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how are we going to move forward? Like
I don't want them to like burn it down and build it back up again. Like I don't want origin stories again. Like now I think it's time you just gotta keep pushing. Give us the Lady Iron Man and Lady Thor. And
right. I mean, I think that's still a ways away because what they're saying is the next phase, you know, if some of these actors are going to be moving on or their contracts are too expensive, well, guess what? You have Winter Soldier, you have Falcon.
Yeah.
Both of those have filled the role of Captain America in the comics, so that'll be fine.
Girl Iron Man.
Girl
'Cause he's
Iron Man,
expensive.
or you can even, there was a rumor going around, or some of the scuttlebutt was that by the time Robert Downey Jr. is ready to leave the Tony Stark role, Peter Parker has already kind of had a version of an Iron Man suit with the AI inside of his costume, and some are believing the costume they show at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming is the Miles Morales version of the costume, which is the current Spider-Man as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they could cast a young Miles. He could take over the role of Spider-Man moving forward, and then Spider-Man maybe
That'd be
becomes
really
like
good.
the Iron Spider or whatever as he was in the comic books.
Real quick, I just gotta throw it out there. I didn't like that they wasted Donald Glover in that Spider-Man movie for like that 2-second scene.
But did they?
But dude, it could have been a setup for a Miles Morales. Like
that is the setup for Miles Morales. He said his nephew.
Oh, he did.
And he's playing a character called the Prowler. And in the comic books, Miles Morales, his uncle, is the Prowler in that alternate universe.
That's awesome.
So, you know, Donald Glover could be a villain in the next movie.
Yeah.
Or you could help introduce Miles in the next movie or two. And I wish Donald Glover could have been Spider-Man a few years ago when they were suggesting it, because I think he's awesome. But the fact that he's in the Spider-Man movie, he's playing a character who could essentially usher in a new Spider-Man, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
They don't have to rush it either. You know what I mean?
No.
Donald Glover's young enough. Tom Holland is young enough to do. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. So yeah, I'm pumped for Thor. I'm pumped for the Justice League. All these TV shows, my DVR is going to be getting a workout
That's awesome.
this fall season. But anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, dude, it was just a good talking show, you know? I'm glad that this is what you picked. I'm glad that you showed me some of these trailers because, dude, the Walking Dead one was serious. I'm glad, I looked into the Westworld one. Not as serious as Walking Dead, but still good.
Stranger Things. That's what I'm pumped up for as far as, The Defenders, Stranger Things Season 2. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the CW shows, so we talked about that. Gotham, I'm excited for. Gifted, I'm unbelievably excited for. And then the two movies, Justice League, Thor Ragnarok. I'm amped. I'm amped. It's a good time, as KB would say, in honor of KB for not being here. And again, KB, feel better, bro. But he would say something along the lines of, it's a great time to be a geek. That's his little thing. And I agree. I also want to give a quick shout out to Cindy Medeiros. She goes, she's amazed how much we know about shows and movies and comic books. So
Comic books!
So thank you, Cindy. We love you. So that's all I got. Thank you guys for 50 episodes for sticking with us. We are going to take about a month hiatus, come in what I like to call For Your Geek Season 2. We're going to stick with the numbering, though, because I don't want to start again with, Episode 1, Season 2. We're going to be...
Cool.
You want? We'll talk about it during
we'll
the hiatus. But thanks again. Thanks to our sponsor for Pachico's Furniture. They're having a huge 50% off sale. They have, if you're looking to move, they have professional movers that'll help move your stuff. They have their Fall River's finest secondhand store, located at 663 Bedford Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. My grandmother is moving into a new apartment, so she's like, "Where should I go to kind of furnish the apartment?" I said, "Hey, go check out Pachico's. They have quality merchandise." So until September, folks, one last time, Don, do you want to do it? Well, actually, stop. We've been doing this for 50 episodes, and I still forget what I'm doing. Before you do that, if you're listening to the audio, check out our Facebook page, For Your Geek Podcast on Facebook. We're still going to be doing covers of the week every Wednesday. KB is going to be doing Marvel covers. I'm going to be doing DC covers. We also have my website, J Free the Geek. I post all the different kinds of things there daily, as well as the covers of the week. Check out our Instagram. Check out our Twitter, both For Your Geek on both of those. I'm active on both of those. Shoot us a line. Tell us what you like, what you want to see us improve on the off season. Let us know. Anything else you want to plug?
Just want to say what's up to our friends over at Game King.
Game King. We might want to do some live shows there.
I think we should even do a short there. They really since last time we were there, we did a live episode from their store, and they have really cleaned, organized. Like, the place looks really good. The ideas that they were telling us, they're actually putting them into effect right now.
They're implementing? Nice.
Yeah, so I was there Tuesday I went by there, and the place is really looking good. Obviously, we know how awesome the guys are. Just we sat there and
we'll do another live video. Give a tour of the store of the new digs. We've played a couple of games there. We've done a Marvel game there. Might want to get back into doing something like that too.
That's what we should do one of our off days.
Yeah,
hang out.
Yeah,
do like a little session.
Absolutely. I'm down with that. Don, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but that just popped into my head.
No, that was good.
Hit him with the catchphrase. Actually, you want to do it at the same time?
In like unison?
Yeah. You want to see if we've never done it before, so it's total. Ready?
Start the weekend with your geek friends and get your geek on.
See you in September, guys. Take care.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.